Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SV Talk. And if you follow the channel this week, you know I have a 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning. I've done a variety of videos on this because I find just stuff so interesting. So we did 110 charging. We figured out how much it charged overnight, kind of made a rough guess. And then I put a 220 volt outlet in yesterday, and we plugged it in all night trying to get the full charge. So I have some videos for you, some really data from you. I have an amp meter we put on, so much amp is drawing, and I have a bunch of numbers and things to talk about in this video. And frankly, this is the best way to do it, I think, using this kind of system, because I was going to shoot these all different videos, one-shot stuff, and it doesn't work. So let's go ahead and dive into some of these videos and what I shot last night. And let's talk about this. So this is evening time. Let me make myself a little bit smaller here. All right, so this was last night, and 8:07.
I want to see how much range this truck has. And I don't have my Wi-Fi, I don't have the app installed. So sorry, I don't have the app installed. I haven't done it yet, this truck. But I want to see how much it's got charged so far. So we have,
so there we
49%.
go. 117 miles. So 49%. So basically, I have a half tank last night at 8:07 at night. And this is really important to keep track of these times because, oh my gosh, it's confusing. So we can see on the screen there, charging 100% at 9:37 a.m. Wednesday. Now, I think if I had the Wi-Fi app installed, which this is a week-long loan, I don't have the time to do that kind of stuff. I don't normally do that stuff. I think I could actually see how many watts I'm being used, hopefully. The system doesn't really tell me when I start truck up how many watts I use charging. So what I did was I used a watt meter, which you'll see here in a second, and we're going to try to determine how many watts we're pulling.
Just a second.
Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck. This was an intro I shot because I was confused on how we're going to do this stuff because I mean,
well,
here we go.
It's moving. It was staying real constant at 29. Then it went down to about 22 or 3 amps for about 10 seconds, and then it's
okay. So that's my friend Jim. He's a master electrician. Actually, used to work for one of the utility companies around here. So he has a ton of experience on what cities are drawing and what houses are drawing and what all we're using for power. He came over with his amp meter. People wanted to know how many amps are really getting pulled from the breaker box to the truck. And so he's showing a screen about 30 amps is what was getting pulled that night.
Ramped back up to 29 again, so I don't know what it's doing, but it's at 29.7 on that phase.
29.8 or
27 or 8.
Yeah.
30, right at 30. So call it roughly 30 amps per phase.
Okay. So we're getting 30 amps per phase. So 30 amps total is going to the truck. And so that's what's getting in the power. So the thing with these EVs, it's not just your how many your volts, your 220 plug, whatever, 110 where you're charging. It's how many amps do you have available to provide power as well. So if I tapped into my garage circuit, 110 amps, 110 volts, which I did, I was also running the freezer out there, lights out there, so I couldn't get the full amperage to the truck. So this is why a dedicated circuit like this makes the most sense. So let me find another video here because this gets even more interesting. So the next morning,
So we got, it is about 7 a.m. the following morning.
Okay, so
I have lights on.
My goal here was to see what happened overnight. So 8 o'clock is when we left it, right? So that's 7 o'clock in the morning. So let's see what happened.
I have, looks like I'm mostly, well, maybe doing a little bit flash. See it flashing. Okay. So load up. We had 49% yesterday. So now we have 255 miles of range, 99%. But now it says it's going to finish charging at 7:26 a.m. this morning. So that's Wednesday when I'm filming this. So I gained 50% of range over the course of what I say it was 13 hours. I think that's what I got. I got notes everywhere. I think that's what happened. And I got some more numbers for you guys. So let's see. I was trying to remember what this video was here. According to the system.
Okay, so
259 miles of range.
So
okay, I want to look now.
And I got 734 times trying to figure out if I'm full.
All right, let's see if it's fully charged now.
So it is now. If I can show something.
Okay. Yes, fully charged. But look, my range dropped to 250.
So this is maddening. it went from 99 to 100%, and I lost. What I lose? 4 miles of range. Let's double check.
Let's try this. Ready? Coming. I don't know. This is weird. Okay.
So I had 260 miles of range, 99%. And then there's another one here. Let me see if it's this one.
So how much range?
That's 259 at 66. There's one. I thought that I had one more video. I guess I didn't. But anyways, so I lost the equivalent of 3 miles of range by going, or no, 260, 100%. So well, let's look at this one.
7 now.
To 257. So I swear I lost 3 miles of range by going 100%. Because at one point it said, there it goes right there. 260 miles at 99%. See, I wasn't lying. 260 at 99 miles, 260 miles, 99%. So I lost 3 miles of range by going to 100%. That's what computer shows me. Okay. And it took another hour to charge after I kept checking it, basically what happened. And I would go in the truck and I could sit in the truck and that screen you see goes away. So the truck's blank. So I couldn't sit there for like a half an hour to see when it actually hit 100%. I had to keep going back and forth. Okay. So that's what happened there. So then the question is, another question came up.
Back in the basement, back to the breaker box. I think I left this on. Yep. So I just wanted to see it. Okay. So I put that on 0. Okay. So
that is after charging. So after the charging hit 100% on the truck, it stopped drawing amperage. There's no, Jim wanted to know if there's a trickle charge, keeping it 1 amp, 2 amp, whatever power. So once it's fully charged, that circuit doesn't pull any more draw to the truck. So I think that's a good thing personally. But let's go. I'm going to go show you a couple other things because again, the plot thickens. So let's start with this. Okay, so this is what I have. I have the Ford mobile charger, the top thing in your screen, and that's what came with the truck. And this is installation tips for licensed electricians. And so we can see on this, it's got the plug, got the charger. You have to have the. In this case, they're specifying an NEMA 1450 industrial grade outlet. Okay, I can probably I'll zoom in to make it bigger in your screen. And so the voltage is a 50 amp breaker is recommended, but 240 was at the 240 VAC, whatever. That's the voltage. And then you can see the 4-wire connection. So ground, level 1, level 2, and neutral. And you have to have the NEMA 1450. And so then we installed number 6 wire. And somebody asked me a question on number 6 wire. And I went to Walmart 18. So we're So 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and we're just debating what's going on.
So what we're gonna do. My plan here is
but I want to get to I laid out the plan for this video, but I want to show it. It's like right here. Let's see. Maybe not. Somebody did ask the wiring. So that is number 6 wire. I have to trust. There it is, right there. Somebody asked what wire that was. That's 6.3. You can see it laid out there. So we use 6.3, which is good up to 50 amps on the charts we were looking at. But the mobile charger only provided, in this case, which this makes more maddening, it only provided up to 30 amps of power. So I really overdid this, which is fine. Most times you want to go higher, right? So if you have 32 amps of power, you want to go like 40 breakers, that kind of deal. So, but it's interesting that they wanted me to do 50 amps of service, but it only provided 32 amps of 30 amps basically of total power the whole time. And I don't see any other, that's what they're saying. And then it's supposed to add 20 miles of range per charging hour, or 3 miles of range if you use 120. So if you use a household plug, 3 miles of range, you use the upgraded 220, you should get 20 miles of range on that hookup. And then there's an asterisk here, range of charge came based on manufacturer computer generated simulations, EPA estimated calculations. Okay. And they said, this is interesting here too. So let me see if I can't move this over. The charging rate decreases as battery reaches full capacity. So we know this like from cell phones and things, at last 10% or 20% takes longer to charge. Okay. So this we got for that. So what's interesting here though, is it says we should get 20 miles of charge per charging hour. So if we had if this vehicle has 260 miles of range, I'm gonna round that off because that was a weird number. It should be 13 hours to get the full charge. But I spent 13 hours getting a half charge, half tank basically. So I mean, if I were to do my numbers again, I'd be longer than that. But then the charging time from 10% to 80% is a lot faster than the charging time from 80% to 100%. So, and we know from EV advocates telling me this stuff that most EV people charge 80% because they're keeping the length of the battery longer. It degrades battery the longer charge you go. Yeah, a lot going on. And so what we did was Jim and I looked at some numbers. This is his paperwork, actually. I totally borrowed it from him. We started looking at what it would cost per mile. And our numbers here are really, well, they're off a little bit because a couple things. So we said 260 miles per recharge in the plug-in EV. Okay, so we should get full charge in 13 hours is what the math turns out to be here. 240 volts times 30 amp is 7,200 watts. 7,200 watts times, we said 12 hours is 86,400 watts. You divide that by 1,000, you have 86.4 kilowatts per charge. Now, currently in gearing right now, and our average is 15 cents per kilowatt hour. Nationally, it's 16 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's going to change depending where you're at, if you're rural, if you're city, whatever, and where you get your power. So for us to add 12 hours of charge time was $12.96. So basically, what I did last night, in a roundabout terms, let's just say it's $13, what I did last night. And that gave me 130 miles of range, which it should have given me 260 per Ford spec sheet. There's something funky there. But so let's just say if I go half tank to full, or if I do like 20 to 80%, go with me here. Let's call that $13 because, again, 20 to 80% charges faster than it does 80 to 100%. Now, if you take a gas vehicle, like, for example, I had the Ford Power Boost last year, the not plug-in, but the hybrid system. So it's not a plug-in. I averaged, usually EPA was 24. I've gotten 29. I got 16 when I towed, or even less than that some days. When I towed, I got like 8. So let's just say 20 miles per gallon. Let's just say, because these numbers get all funky. I'm just trying to make as easy as I can understand. So if I get 20 miles of range, 20 miles per gallon. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys see this a little better. If I did 260 miles by 20 miles per gallon, I should use 13 gallons. Currently, gas is $3.60 a gallon here in town, and so it's $46 per tank. And so for me to go 260. So if I were to do the equivalent math here, and again, I'm off a little bit. I understand that. Just stay with me for a minute. My difference is $33.84 difference per tank to go 260 miles. Okay. Now, let's talk about the price difference between a gas vehicle and a Lightning vehicle. So in this case, I went to build your Ford F-150. I went to Ford.com and built an F-150. So the difficult thing here is trying to get a true apples to apples comparison between the two trucks. So what I decided to do is, let me do my own what I would buy. Okay, so I'm looking at, I have a 2023 F-150. I have a Platinum. Well, I guess I should say what I should buy. What's in the driveway? Let me clarify that. This is a lot of money. I don't think I'd buy a Platinum, but let's say I have a Platinum in the driveway. I have this Platinum here. So I have a Platinum. I went the hybrid powertrain because, if I'm gonna go electric, let me do hybrid powertrain. Let me do the whole kind of apples to apples comparisons here. 4-wheel drive. I have the high equipment package, which is the same thing what I have outside. I have all the bells and whistles. I have a Platinum high discount. I have different packages, max trailer towing package, and then I have I could do the Platinum appearance package, but let's just leave that off for now. And then I didn't do a whole lot more with interior. I didn't do much more accessories. I just kind of let it go. I did add the 7.2 kilowatt Pro Power on board because the Lightning has, I think it's 9.6 kilowatt of power. Sorry, GM has one and Ford has one. But anyways, the Lightning has the same Pro Power on board that the Power Boost has, just a little bit less. So I'm going to put that in there because that's more apples to apples in my opinion. And then we have running boards. I kind of left the rest of the stuff alone just because I want to see what that price breakdown to be. So currently, right now, all the way down the summary, I have $79,325, $79.25. So basically, I have about $80,000. The Ford F-150 Lightning in the Platinum, which you can only get extended range battery in, is $96,874. So let's say you get the $7,500 of potential savings. Let's say you qualify for that. So let's just round this off. So you have 90,000, you have 80,000, right? And you have your install price of $1,500 or so, which we'll get to that in just a minute. I have an answer for that. The depending on what your install price is for your 220 plug. For me, it was about $500 in parts, and luckily my friend, like you saw, Jim, was a master electrician, so he saved me like $1,000 in labor putting that plug in. So let's say we have $10,000 difference, which is what we did here. Now, $10,000 difference between just buying the two vehicles is, when you divide it by how much difference per tank, you have 295 tanks of gas and 295 EV charges. 295 times 260 miles, just what we had on the truck. That means you drive 76,700 miles to break even for $10,000 of the extra cost of vehicle. And he said EV box install. I want to clarify that in a minute. So we're saying about 75,000 miles. So why am I saying hold on the box install? Because this. So on pickuptrucktalk.com, Jill and I worked in the store for a long period of time, and we did a deep dive the cost of owning gas for electric trucks, and we looked at maintenance and fuel, all that kind of stuff. But I want to reference something in here because she brought up a really good point. So I want to go right here. It's called maintenance costs, and we looked at this. So I went to my local Ford dealer in town. I grabbed the service manager. Him and I sat down with this chart that you're going to see below that shows what you have to do at different service intervals. And I wanted to see over that course what you would look like. So we looked at 10 years. So if you're over 10 years, you're looking at $1,352 in scheduled maintenance for Lightning versus $4,188 for the gas F-150. Now, I said leave the box install off of this kind of information because the difference between maintenance costs would almost work out to be about what the box install is going to be for a variety of customers. Some customers spend thousands of dollars more because they only have a 100 amp service in their house. Their house is older wiring. They have to replace breaker boxes. They have to call utility companies, got to bring more power in, all kinds of stuff. Some people have a breaker box in the garage. They just plug it in. You put a cord in, or you run a line right there. Other people like me drill through the basement, run line around. So it really does depend, and it depends, like, again, in this case, how much you're doing mileage, if you're actually hitting those mileage items at those yearly marks. So let's just say between the maintenance and the box install, let's just call that a wash. And let's go back here and say, yeah, you're looking at about 75,000 miles of ownership to break even with the cost of the Lightning versus the regular gas Lightning. Now, I'm going to say all that, and I'm going to say time out for one more second, because with any of these discussions, there's 1,000 more variables. Crazy, right? You may not want to buy a Platinum. You may want to buy an XLT versus XLT. You may want to buy the standard range, not versus the extender range. You may, in your town, your electrical rates are higher, they're lower. Or you do the good thing, or the best scenario as far as saving fuel. You put solar panels in your house, and now your electric vehicle is free to drive. So there's 1,000 variables going on there. And then if you look at gas prices, if gas prices go down, electrical prices go up, now your miles to break even go more. But if electrical prices stay even and gas prices go down, your miles to break even on the gas purchase go even further. It just, these things all, I'm probably didn't say that correctly at all, but these things go back and forth like crazy. So really, to understand what you're doing, you have to go through, you have to really do a lot of pen and paper and figure out the math. And the reality of this is that I have a full review coming in this Lightning, and frankly, it's awesome, right? It's fast, it's quiet, it's comfortable to drive right in. It's a good driving vehicle, so it has all the features that a lot of customers want these days out of a full-size truck. But man, this cost to fuel and total cost of ownership and maintenance, everything going on, really is going to create a lot of pen and paper moments for people. And I don't know, it's in for me, it comes down to a couple things. If you don't drive 12,000 miles a year at least, and you buy an EV, good luck ever seeing the return on investment for your fuel costs, and also return on investment for your environmental damage from building the vehicle versus driving it. Because we've done lots of studies in this so far that said if you have to drive so many miles after buying an EV to eventually get the net zero benefits of that EV. So pollution starts out higher in an electric vehicle, and it goes down the more you drive it. Gas vehicle starts out lower, but the more you drive it, the more it stays steady. So there's this point where an electric vehicle actually does more benefit from a CO2 capture standpoint. There's going to be argument in that too, in that realm of thinking. So this is the truck that you're going to want to drive, and you need to drive. to get those benefits is what I'm saying. I think that's it. Holy cow, that's a 20-minute video. Did not, man, be 20-minute video. I'm sorry. It's so much to go over and so much to discuss. So check the videos over here as well. Website down below, pickuptrucktalk.com. Check that out. You want lots of information going on there as well. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road while I read all your comments from this video because it is complex.